Hi, good evening.
Evening. What would you like to say?
First of all, I just want to say, Dov, what you're doing is absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
And just keep going. And I know you're getting a lot of hate on social media at the moment, but I want to say a couple of things. First of all, I mean, I'm Jewish myself. I'm a great-granddaughter of 6 Holocaust survivors. I did my psychology undergraduate dissertation in intergenerational trauma on the Holocaust. So this is very dear to my heart. But I think what you're doing is unbelievable because it's really about education. Recently, I was in Waterstones in Brent Cross on a busy Sunday afternoon, just, browsing, and there were 2 teenage girls who walked into the shop, and they're looking at all the different, all the different shelves of, what it says. It says, like, science fiction, history, and then they read Jewish history. And one of them looks at the other one and goes, let's just go and punch all those books. And I was so taken aback. Obviously with what's going on in the world at the moment with the Israel-Gaza war, I think that's definitely inflated a lot of anti-Semitism. We know that. We see the proof of it. But 2 young girls, probably 13 years old, I wish I would have gone over to them. I didn't. I would have wanted to say, have you ever met anyone Jewish in your life? Do you know anything about Jews? I think so much about this is a lack of education. And what you're doing is so important, and really just keep going and keep doing your good work.
Thank you very much, Frida. I think, as you say, we have got to a point in the country, and I think we need to look ourselves as a country in the mirror and say, firstly, where have we got to as a country, but how did we get here, and where do we go forward from this? Anti-Semitism, which once simmered below the surface, has very much bubbled well over, and it's frightening. We see people on the streets calling for violence akin to what happened in the 7/7 bombings and the Manchester attacks and the London Bridge terror attacks. They want that against Jewish people, not only in Israel, but here in the United Kingdom on our streets. And we see ignorant and naive young children being educated via TikTok, via social media, to hate Jewish people here in the United Kingdom for really no reason. And that's what we used to see in the 1930s in Nazi Germany. That's what led to the murder of 6 million Jews. And I do think it's important to go over to these people. And of course, it's not always possible. But I do think, when possible, to go over to speak to these people. And as you say, have they even ever met a Jew? Have they interacted with a Jew? Or is this something which they've been told to think about the Jewish people? And, I've seen these people who educate, supposedly, about the news and what's going on in the world and the current war in Israel and Gaza on social media. And those same people are the same people that comment on my TikTok saying that they wish my great-grandmother was raped like the women in the kibbutzim in southern Israel after October 7th, and they hope that she's bombed and murdered. And if your response to the worst atrocity against Jewish people since the Holocaust is to go out and wish murder upon a Holocaust survivor, then clearly your moral compass is in the wrong place. And so there's so much work for the world really to do. And as a country, as I say, we have to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, how did we get here? But where are we going to go forward from this? And what can we do to stop this?
It is mind-boggling, isn't it? Frida, thank you very much for your call. It is mind-boggling, the thought process that can lead people to chant these horrible slogans, to even have the thought. I mean, what you just said about what people are wishing on your I mean,
and
I don't know where this comes from.
Iain, most people, even chanting from the river to the sea, which is a genocidal chant against Jews in the state of Israel, don't even know what river and what sea they're speaking about. I think we could take in calls probably from listeners even today, and we could ask people, and I guarantee you that some of them won't even know what river and sea they're chanting about. This is just simply what they're hearing and what's trendy. And for some people, Israel and Palestine and Gaza is just a cause to be impassioned by. But for Jewish people like myself, this is our lives. This is our families. I have a cousin who was shot on October 7th. I know people, and every single Jew knows someone who was affected by what happened in Israel on October 7th. For us, this is much more than just an issue to go out on the street and to protest about. This is our lives.
And yet some people still believe it either didn't happen or it was the Israelis that shot their own people. And I had one of our listeners emailed me last week, and he said, yeah, but you should look at these links on the internet, Iain. I mean, they prove that it was not as we're being told. And of course, I then made the stupid mistake of clicking on the links. And there was one very professionally produced video, very professional, from a guy in New York who was essentially saying that no, Hamas didn't kill any children, and all the people that they did kill were military targets. And it was done in the most, Leni Riefenstahl would have been proud of this. It was done in the most professional, propagandist manner. But if you were somebody who was sort of inclined to be anti-Israel, you'd swallow it hook, line and sinker.
Yeah, it's so dangerous. Again, it's this propaganda which is being propagated on social media, and the social media companies and social media barons are doing nothing about it. They prefer the money in their own pocket. It feels to me as if they're waiting for something serious to happen against the Jewish person, for some actual action from a follower to be taken against the Jewish creator, for them to then actually take action against this. But I want to take this back to the Holocaust, because it's about Holocaust Memorial Day. But the denial which we're seeing from October 7th is the same thing that we see with the Holocaust. Yeah. The only difference is that the Nazis actually tried to cover up their crimes. The Hamas terrorists who invaded Israel filmed them, and I've seen those films. Yeah. And those things will scar me forever, but I saw them so that I can come on a radio show like yours today and say, no, I know it happened because I've seen the GoPro footage from the Hamas rapist terrorists who invaded Israel on October 7th.
They say, no, but you mustn't believe that, because what the Israelis will have done, they'll have doctored that film footage. So whatever evidence you have, people will always suspect that
they're blinded to the truth.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Elon Musk has visited Auschwitz this week. Do you think that's just an empty gesture, given how Twitter is a sewer of anti-Semitism?
Look, I think he is someone who's incredibly sympathetic, especially at the moment since October 7th. As you say, he's visited hostage families, he's visited kibbutzim, the same kibbutz that I visited. Actually, on the same day, we visited kibbutz Kfar Aza just a few weeks after October 7th. And he's also, as you say now, visited the former concentration camp of Auschwitz. And it is incredibly important. I think it sends a message to the world that you need to go and visit these places to fully understand, or actually to start to understand, because you can never understand what happened there and the crimes against humanity that were committed. But I do think that he has a lot more to do, and not only him, but all of the social media barons have to take a deep look at the worrying anti-Semitism, not only anti-Semitism, however, racism and conspiracy theories, which are allowed to be spread on their social media platforms without challenge. And it's up to them to decide now, how do they want to be judged in the future? Because it's clear that if this carries on how it is, all we're going to see is, with every single act of violence in the world, and with every single, especially acts of violence against Jewish people, we're just going to see more and more conspiracy theories and more anti-Semitism rising, and more people saying that these things didn't really happen and they're just doctored, as you say. And that's incredibly worrying, and they have a responsibility to make sure that their users are safe on social media. And, I'm lucky, I have a great support network around me, but I can't imagine what it must be like to be a 12 or 13-year-old Jewish person posting on social media and suddenly having probably thousands of people commenting on your TikTok post or your Instagram post, anti-Semitic comments, or even not anti-Semitic comments, but related to the conflict, and you have no idea how to respond to these. As I said, I've been doing this for 3 years. I've got a great support network around me. I get around 2,000 to 3,000 anti-Semitic comments every single day, but I can't imagine how those young Jewish people feel when they receive that abuse too.